Peenemünde Army Research Center, right here on the Baltic Sea.
What was the significance of Peenemünde to the entire war effort?
Peenemünde was the first huge research center of the world. You can compare it to Silicon Valley, for example.
Christian Mühldorfer-Vogt is the director of the Historical Technical Information Center at Peenemünde and has studied every aspect of what the Nazi scientists did here.
This research center was needed as to build the first rocket that reached the space. This was the innovation because nobody before was able to produce a thrust of 24 tons. The Russians and the Americans at that time were able to produce only 1.5 tons.
Rocket engines excite a gas or fluid which is expelled in one direction, and the thrust force is applied to the engine in the opposite direction. According to Christian, during World War II, while all superpowers were working on rocket technology, the Germans somehow found a breakthrough that gave them rocket power 16 times greater than their adversaries. That's in addition to technology that the Germans developed, like computers, closed-circuit televisions, jet engines, and they were far ahead of their adversaries, that's for sure.
What other innovative technologies came from this place?
There were the first computers here. The technical TV was also in action.
Why were the Germans so much more advanced than the Americans or the Russians or anybody else?
That's because this research center was aiming to control the world with military means.
You're saying when you have a dictatorship that can focus the efforts of a group, that group tends to advance faster.
Now, if this place was so secret, how did the Allies find out about it?
In June 1942, English airplanes, they took photos here from Peenemünde. And in 1943, the first attack by more than 600 airplanes from the Royal Air Force, and 70% here was destroyed.
Did the bombing stop the work here?
The mass production of V1 and V2, this was put into Mittelbau-Dora, the concentration camp in a hill in the Harz Mountains.
After Peenemünde was bombed, the Germans had to move underground, which allowed for increased secrecy and possibly the development of unconventional technology. The man in charge of these underground facilities was Hans Kammler, an SS general who found engineering solutions to the darkest Nazi projects.
In 1943, World War II was lost for the German troops. They wanted to build the so-called Wunderwaffe, a wonder weapon, to change the war. But the Nazis hoped to change and to win.
As Germany was losing the war, a group of scientists here vested all their hope in one single weapon, which they called the Wunderwaffe. What was it? Was it a super jet? Was it a guided missile? Was it a flying saucer? Was it something else? Was it something that was so powerful, such an ultimate weapon, that one stroke and the fortunes of war would turn? This is what we now have to investigate.